Welcome to the Relationship Reset Network. I am super excited because I have a dear friend who I truly respect, Jay Gauthier. He is a pastor, a teacher, and a coach of, and also founder of, and host of Audacious Faith. He's the host of Audacious Faith podcast and founder of Audacious Faith Business. Am I correct?
Yes.
And so tell us where you're from and let's let the audience know about your story behind where you how did you become a pastor, a teacher, and a coach.
Well, thank you, Martha. It's so good to be with you, as it always is. And my story, basically, I'm in Southern California. I've been in Southern California all my life. It's a little crazy out here, but it's been home for me. I did not grow up in the faith or anything like that. So being a pastor was very unlikely, I guess you could say. Didn't go to church, anything like that. Wasn't opposed to it. We just never did it. And was invited by a family when I was 16 years old, almost 17. It worked out pretty well because I ended up marrying the person that was one of the people that invited us. And we've been married now for July, will be 40 years. So I
Mhm.
guess it's worked out pretty well. But basically, going to church at that point, God just really reached into my life after a couple of months, gave my life to Jesus, and he really started to change some things. Up until that point, music was my thing. That's what I was going to do. I was probably going to be a professional studio musician. I was a brass player. That was my life and had been my life. But God kind of turned it around, really started opening up his truth to me, gave me a burden for people, especially for youth at that particular time, and called me into the ministry. And basically, from that point forward, I've just really wanted to just impact people in any way that I could. And it's been a journey, but I will tell you that God is just extremely faithful. I've made a lot of mistakes, like I think all of us do, but thankfully, by His grace, I get to serve Him more than ever. And then a few years back, He really directed me to kind of expand the ministry, and that's how we not just be a pastor of a local church, but that's how we started Audacious Faith Ministries. And basically, the premise of that is it's for those who have the audacity to believe that God put us on this earth to do more than just exist, but to make a huge difference in the world. And that basically, I believe, is true for everybody that He calls. And I think that we just need to find His leading on what those opportunities are and just step into them and do it.
Wow. And so you know, as a pastor and a coach,
Mhm.
what role does faith play in relationships?
Well, faith is huge because it's central. I mean, really, the faith is the final authority of all the decisions that you're making. So there's a lot of times, I'm sure you've experienced, many of your listeners have experienced, where we look at things in life and they don't make sense necessarily at first. And often we're thinking, by emotions, it's like, I don't really feel like doing this right now, or I don't see how it's going to work out. But that faith and that direction and that trust, I mean, it does tell us in Hebrews 11 that it's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. So there's often where we just know that God is saying, hey, here's an opportunity. And we're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't feel capable of doing that. And yet He seems to be directing that way. And so I think for me, and what I would direct in others as well, is that you don't have to be in control. You just need to know that He is. And so often that
Mm.
involves just kind of saying, well, until you shut the door, I'm going to go just because I know you're in control and I know you're going to figure it out. The one who works all things together for good. And this is what's so great about that passage. Even when we would mess it up, and we do mess it up, He still figures it out, which is amazing. Takes a lot of the anxiety away when we realize that.
That's encouraging. Because when we don't, we have this faith to do and run and do something. but it's not always linear. And
Right.
so we fall into this this gap where we like, I don't want to mess it up, so I won't do it. Do you
Mhm.
ever find that in your coaching, how do you move people from that particular point where they like, I don't want to mess it up?
Well, I think exactly what we just kind of touched on. We can't really mess it up because in that Romans 8, where he's saying he works all things together for good to those who love God, I think that's the key. So I don't think that verse would be there if it wasn't to explain to us, like, look, all things, including your mess, he can turn it into a miracle. So he's the one that takes these things and manages to make them work. I think we can look back in life, I know I can, on many things. It's like, oh, I made this mistake, I didn't do this, I wasn't faithful here. And yet still God's using me at this point, despite myself. Um, I've seen some of the people making the hugest impact for God in life are people that just totally messed it up, in so many ways. And so I think we overthink things and we give ourself too much credit for the ability to mess things up, and God not enough credit for his power to fix it and do his plan anyways. And going along with what you said, if you look at the parable of the talents, for example, you have people that were given different amounts. And I mean, one was given two, another one was given four, they doubled, and the other one was given one. And it wasn't so much the amount, but the problem was that the guy who was given one was afraid of messing it up, so he did nothing. And
Mm,
that's what God doesn't worry about you messing it up. God worries about you not having enough faith in His character, and you are too fearful and you do nothing. That's really the issue. If we're not going to do anything, then He's not going to give us any more opportunity to do more because we're not being faithful and trusting with the little bit that He's put in front of us to begin with.
that is so true. I love how you map that out because a lot of people are stuck in that area where they won't move. I was stuck in that area, even with this group. I've been trying to start this group for a whole year.
Yeah,
And I wanted it to be perfect. But I had to say, I'm either going to trust him or not. So, that's encouraging to hear that you don't have to have it perfect because he is the one that the all sufficient one. He said he works, you know, what Ephesians said, when we're he works better in our weakness, so to
yeah.
speak.
His
Um,
strength is made perfect for.
yes, in our weakness, and his grace is sufficient for that.
Yeah,
So
Martha, I can't even begin to tell you how many times, like even doing a message, I don't even know how many messages God has given me the privilege of being able to do through the years, as a pastor. And there's been over and over again, there are times where it's like, oh, I nailed that one. I was so prepared. And absolutely nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. And there's been times when people come to me after I've just struggled, and I was thinking, oh, that was terrible. I was all over the place. I couldn't figure out. And then I'll get some message going, oh, Pastor, this has been working on me all day from what you said this morning, and God just really hit me. I'm thinking, I even answer if I know them well. I'm like, really? Because it's like that. I thought I was all over the map. I was lost, and it's just, I started to very humbly realize that I'm not all that, I think I'm the one that has to figure this out, and my best stuff just falls against the wall and does nothing. I mean, it's God who does the work. So we just need to, what does First Corinthians tell us? I think First Corinthians chapter 4 is required of stewards that a man be found faithful. That's really what
mhm,
God is looking for.
absolutely, absolutely. So what do you have exciting going on these days?
We're doing a lot of things, just taking those steps of faith. I mentioned music was my life, and God kind of took that emphasis away when He put me into pastoral ministry. But then through the years, I've been able to, lead choirs, to be on praise teams, which we do, and all that. And recently he gave me some tools to actually, combine with writing and everything. And now we're putting together um, powerful Christian songs based on scripture, based on scripture passages or ideas or struggles that people are going through. So we launched actually an official music label, Audacious Faith Music.
Oh, wow.
Got a couple songs out, released already. We got many more that are about to be released. And we're putting them on all the major platforms. So, like iTunes, through the Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all of those different things, putting it out there, releasing them. And again, it's not necessarily for people to buy it. We just want to put, the message out there in any way that we can just reach people. So that's something God, it's funny how he works. I went from having that completely not on the radar to happening in
Hmm.
about 2 hours. And I think that's a lesson that we got to learn that God's been teaching me recently. It's like God just shows you something, okay, go, move. Don't worry about messing it up. I was listening to some music on YouTube and I thought, oh, these things are pretty good. And then I realized people were using some, advanced tools to be able to do it. And I was sharing it with my friend, and my friend was like, he responded to me. He probably didn't even know what he was doing. This is a God thing. And he said, oh, I can see you doing that. And I go, I don't know how to do this. And he goes, well, look it up. Right? So I look it
Right.
up, I try it out, and by that night I had a song done. And it was just like, okay. And then the person that kind of gave me the idea to begin with, she's like, oh, yeah. And then you just do a music label. And it's like, do a music label? How in the world do you do that? So we went from like nothing to all of this like in 24 hours. You know,
Wow.
yeah. So it was kind of crazy how the world works now. But part of it is I think, and I want to encourage your people listening, we spend too much time in analysis paralysis where we just
Yes.
literally just freeze ourselves, think about by the time it comes to do it, you've totally talked yourself out of it already. I mean, what's the worst thing that could have happened? I tried it, it didn't work. I mean, that's really the worst thing that could happen. Um, but now, I mean, enjoying myself, and it's just another way to connect with people and get God's truth out there.
That is amazing. So you just so now you get ready to publish on Spotify and iTunes. That's incredible. And it's pretty much a worship songs that's from the word of God that speaks to our hearts, right?
We're doing the traditional worship. We're doing some rap, hip hop. We're doing some rock.
What?
We're doing all those different styles. In fact, the first one, a person could find it on YouTube if they want. Um, I took the old classic, one of the best hymns ever, "It Is Well with My Soul,"
Hmm.
and basically took the idea of that and coupled it with so much that people go through today and came up with some. I'll just give God the credit. Came up with some really great lyrics, I think, and put a song together that kind of resembles the old hymn, but in many ways doesn't, but really has the idea. If you look it up on YouTube, "It Is Well" with Audacious Faith Music, you'll find it. It's also on Spotify and everything else. And I love that song. I
I'm gonna
absolutely
look
love
for it.
that song. Yeah,
I'm gonna look. It's interesting because you took everybody knows that song.
exactly. And so we carry the original idea, but we really bring it into modern time.
That is awesome. And so anything else you're doing?
So that's the music aspect. We will be doing some more books and writing and resources very, very soon, including one that's been brewing for over a year called Grace Unfailing.
Mm.
And I went to start doing that and then kind of put it on the back burner, but for some reason it keeps coming up. And I'm thinking to myself, why did I not write it a year ago? And I think because of the things that God's showing me now, um, it will be much better now than it would have been a year ago because I think there's a much more understanding of this area than there was back then. We should be continually growing. I know that's true for me
Yes.
more than ever. If we're not, if we're the same person we were 3 to 6 months ago, then that's probably not good. There should be continued
Yeah.
growth in our
Constant
life.
evolving. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we were bad then, it's just that we should be even closer and God should have shown us even more by now. And so, yeah, and I think that happens basically the more time we spend with him, the more he does that.
That is so true. And how important would you tell the audience? Because you have people who go to church, but then you have people who have a relationship. How important is having a relationship with God?
Huge, absolutely huge. So, um, I, I I'm going to be a little vulnerable with you guys right now. I will tell you that even though I've been in ministry now for December 1st will be 40 years, despite my youthful appearance. And I will say that I've done my duty for those 40 years, but for a long time, there was a big struggle. And I'm not saying there's not a struggle now. I just view it a little bit differently, thankfully, by God's grace. Messed some things up, wasted a lot of time, took God for granted in many ways. And so everything looked okay on the outside, but on the inside it wasn't. I mean, there were times when I was in a really dark place. And you couldn't let anybody know that though. And I know that there's many
Right.
a person that is can relate to that. And a lot of guilt over that, even in recent times where it's just, oh, I messed this up, I messed that up. The things that I thought God was going to do through my life to impact people, I know I blew it. I don't see that happening. And that was the attitude that I kind of had. And then now I realize that's not true. I mean, the reality
Right.
is a lot of what I thought disqualified me is actually what's qualified me, in
Mm.
a sense, to really, truly now understand, have way more empathy for others, and to truly, some of the things I'm getting to do now, like the music and the ministry and even being on your program right now and reaching out to people, there's a part of me that says, I shouldn't get to do this. I shouldn't get to do any of this,
Mm.
you know? But it's just a testimony to God's amazing grace in the sense that we often think, well, I got to fix everything and I got to get it all cleaned up so that I can then have a relationship with God. And He's saying, no, you don't fix your life. If you want your life fixed, just get connected to me. Get connected
Yes.
to me more. The more you're connected, I'll transform your life. It's not our job to even fix it. He already took on everything. We just celebrated this at Easter and Good Friday, right?
Yes.
He took on everything on the cross. He's already paid for it all. We're still beating ourselves up over what he got beat up for, which he already took for
Right.
us, right? And if you look at, for instance, I know I'm wandering all over the place here, but
No,
it's
you're
all
right in
coming to my
line.
head. You look at the example of the prodigal son that Jesus teaches in Luke chapter 15. And I mean, he goes and rationalizes through his head. He's hit rock bottom, everything. It's like it's never in his mind, this relationship with the Father is never going to be the same ever again. But he's going to try to go back and at least get in proximity and at least be treated like one of the servants so that he can at least get something. And he goes towards the Father, and the Father's like totally restores him. I mean,
Hmm.
he puts it's like nothing ever changed, like nothing ever left. And of course, the brother who also got, if you look at that passage, the brother also got part of the inheritance but didn't leave. The brother's mad as can be. He's like, I don't get what in the world is going on. The part that Jesus doesn't tell in the story, but I think a lot of us live out today, is the young man who comes back and is forgiven and has the robe put on him and all that kind of stuff. We see the father's reaction to him, but how does he actually handle it? That's the part that Jesus doesn't
Right.
tell. And I think a lot of us are that guy or that woman, and the father's saying, "Look, come on, let's go. I love you. I've given everything for you." And we're still like, "Yeah, but I did this and but I did that, and no, I can't fully accept that and all that." And he's saying, "Will you just step into now where I'm placing you and do it?"
Right.
And that's the part that that I think we don't get right and that we don't understand about God's grace. We're still going back to what he's already forgiven.
Yeah, putting him back on the cross again every
Yeah,
day
absolutely.
when he done it all. He didn't ask for any more sacrifices. He just want a relationship, right?
Right. I mean, we sung just yesterday, we sung Jesus Paid It All. And we sing that, but we don't live like it quite often.
Exactly. And it's just a wonderful thing to have a relationship with him because I find that when I read the word and I look at it's right where I am in my life. It's speaking to my heart. And it's like I'm experiencing God through
Right?
that very thing that I need. It's like wisdom from up on high that's
Absolutely.
giving me and I don't feel deserving of it. So but I accept it through his love and grace. It took it takes time for people to do that.
It does.
That's why faith is so important when it comes to your relationship because
Absolutely.
you can't some things you just can't see when he tell you to do stuff. You don't see the outcome. He don't want you to worry about the outcome. Right?
Yeah, my wife loves to do puzzles. I know there's a lot of people out there that do puzzles, and I watch her. I don't have the patience for puzzles, but I watch when she does puzzles. And the funny thing about puzzles is, you get these pictures, and she likes to see what it's going to look like. But she does her puzzle by doing it in sections. I mean, she starts with the outside edges, of course, but then there's certain colors that go together, and there's certain portions that seem to go together. And she's got these little various pieces in the different. I got her one of those big puzzle table things, so she's got that. And the funny thing is, so there's these separate things, and they appear to be separate, these sections, but then eventually what happens is those sections connect.
Hmm.
And when they connect, at the end, the whole big picture of all those sections now connects together and makes the big picture. And I think that's exactly how our life is, in the sense that it's like, I don't get this. I don't know, what does this have to do with this? And but then eventually they connect. It's like, oh, God saw the big picture all along. It's just I couldn't see how they connected.
Right, exactly. So what's one thing that you would like to share with the audience that's on your heart?
I think it's that area of grace, really. I was praying about what we were going to talk about last night, and um, I think I even messaged you back going, okay, well, I'll pray about what it is. And literally within 30 seconds, that popped into my head. It's like God was saying, that's what somebody needs to hear. Um, that there's the audience, there's people out there that are trying to walk with the Lord, but we're still trying to get right with Him by performance-based faith, in the sense that, oh, I got to get better. I got to fix this. I've got to get more committed. I've got to get this cleaned up in my life. Now, I'm not saying He's not telling us to do that, but what I
Hmm.
am saying is that I don't think you can do that alone. For instance, the fruit of the
Right.
Spirit, love, joy, gentleness, peace, self-control, all of these things, people go about that the wrong way. They go, oh, these are the things I need to strive for. So now I'm going to discipline myself and I'm going to self-improve to be more loving and to
Hmm.
and to be more, have more self-control. You can't manufacture the fruit of the Spirit is produced by the Spirit, not by you.
Exactly.
And that's what we don't seem to get. So we're sitting there striving to get all this stuff done and make ourselves acceptable to God. We're not saved that way. We don't come into a relationship with God that way to begin with. We don't get cleaned up first and all that. It says, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to His mercy, He saved us. So we don't get saved that way, but for some reason we think that we get stronger in our faith and our relationship with Him that way. The same transformation that He did to save us to begin with is the same way that He transforms us now. So if we're struggling in these areas, it's not like God is up there, get it right, or I'm swatting you with this
Right.
giant fly swatter. Um, again, it's just connection, 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 and quit thinking that somehow you're going to be good enough. I was at a men's retreat recently where this really came into play. They do a little testimonial circle, and they were talking about how they were trying to share with some of their friends about Jesus. And over again, they get the person saying, "Oh, I've tried to get my life right with God so many times, but I just can't do it." And then they walk away and they feel so sad because it's like, oh, the person, they just can't do it. And I'm hearing this, and probably because of a lot of what I've gone through, and I'm thinking to myself, that's when the person's closer to God than ever at that particular moment, when they
Yes.
realize, yeah, you can't do it. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. But he can, and he has. So
Hmm.
we just, by grace we are saved through faith, not of yourselves. It's the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast. So that now should continue. Whatever area we're struggling with in our life, that doesn't mean shrink back and say, I can't serve God, I can't get closer to him. That means actually when we go to him and say, I just need your help.
Yes.
I'm going to serve you the best way I can. I'm not going to feel guilty about every time I fall short because I know you've got it and you love me anyways.
Yes. I love that's the message, because we get to the point where we do something that we didn't meet the mark.
Hmm.
We lean in, not pull away. It's best
Right.
to lean in. I love how you said, because we won't never be perfect until we go to glory.
Exactly. And what you just touched on, for instance, in Psalm 34, where it says that he is near to the brokenhearted, there's a lot of brokenhearted people out there. But if you look at the original language and when it says he's near, what it basically means is when we're brokenhearted, God isn't like, oh, and then pulling back. No, God actually leans in towards us when we're brokenhearted.
Yes.
Um, and so if you're a listener right now out there and you're brokenhearted, realize God's not there waiting to beat you down with the stick. He's actually waiting to lean in and give you the comfort that you actually are definitely longing for.
Yep. Just like you said, just like the prodigal son, the father leaned in, the
Mhm.
Lord leans in on us like the same. It's the same thing. It's the
Amen.
same thing. So thank you so much, Jay. I could talk to you all day. It's such a pleasure,
You could,
as
yes.
always, to chat, and definitely put all your links in the video. And it's always such a pleasure to chat with you. I definitely appreciate you joining this group. I don't take it lightly when people support me. And it's, to grow this group means a lot to me. I can't do it on my own, and I'm not trying to. But I love the fact that I have leaders like yourself and other people that comes in and bring the audience value and want and have a heart to serve. So I thank you for your heart to serve.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity, and I always love doing things with you, Martha, because I know where your heart is, and basically we're very much in the same spot there. We just want to bless people in any way that
That's
we
all we want to do. That's all we want to do. It's not about us. It's about you, the people who's listening. So
absolutely.
well, thank you so much.
All right, great to be with you.